welcome to Quilt Concert 2023, Twinkle Twinkle. We're working on Block 7, Lucky Star. Before we start sewing, let's gather our supplies. I always have my cutting mat ready. I have a very mini cut and press that I use just really for these videos. I do have other ironing boards. I have my Oliso mini maker, mini project. I have my add a quarter plus ruler, my SewTite Lite that I like to use for my very first piece, my rotary cutter, my rough cut pieces of fabrics based on our directions. You can use that or you can go your own way. And the Lucky Star Plate 1. You need to print 4 of these in total. There's a template A and a template B. So you will be putting A and B together and then creating 4 of these total blocks. Remember, when you print at 100%, always take a ruler and check your 1-inch box to make sure it's printed to the correct size. We are starting with template A, and here is section 1, and here is section 2. I like to keep the section 1 against my cutting mat, so I'm going to turn it this way so I can take my add a quarter ruler and do the first step, which is fold. I'm going to fold right on that line between 1 and 2 and fold it over. Taking my section 1 fabric, I'm going to lay it under there, and I'm going to make sure that there's extra fabric around all those lines, and I can see that very easily. As a reminder, if you are using print fabric, this is going to be wrong side of paper to wrong side of fabric. You want the right side of the fabric against your cutting mat. Now here's my section 2 triangle. I'm going to flip this back, and I can still see my lines here, here, and here. I'm going to take all of this, trying to keep that, and lay it on my section 2 fabric, and I can see there's plenty of room over here. There's plenty of room over here. This spot, I kind of pull my fabric back up to see. Yes. All right. Now gently opening that back up, I double check that my section 1 still is where I want it. I take my SewTite Lite. Oops. And this will keep the fabric in place while I carry it to my machine. Like that. See? Ooh. Doesn't really move. I'm going to stitch from right before that point straight down to directly after that point. Fold, stitch. I have stitched. As a reminder, make your stitch length shorter so it's easier to tear the paper later on. My next step is to cut. I fold the paper back, take my add a quarter ruler, line up the lip of the ruler against the paper right there. It's nice and snug. It gives me 1/4. And we cut. Next step is to press. So I'm going to grab my little pressing mat that I have here for videos. And my dry Oliso. I do not like to use steam when I paper piece because I feel like it makes my paper wet and it distorts things. And honestly, this, if you have one of these little mini project irons, and we gave a few of them away last week because Oliso is just amazing. They're so hot. They come out so hot and they really give a great crease to your seams. Kind of love it. All right. So we did a fold, stitch, cut, and press, and now we're back to the beginning. So we're going to turn this over, and now we're doing between number 2 and number 3. You can see a line right here. We're matching that point. This is where you get your nice precise points in paper piecing. Well, there's plenty of places you get nice precise points in paper piecing. I'm going to line my add a quarter plus ruler up on that line to fold it back. If you have a regular add a quarter ruler, you can use an index card, which is another good use of your little index card with reminders of your steps on there. I'm going to fold it back. I'm going to get my fabric for that. It is this piece. They got a little bit tangled. Sorry for the wait. I can see my point and my outside lines. So I'm going to put this on here. No, I think my point here is too close to the edge, so I'm going to move this up a little bit. My point there has plenty of room. My point there now has plenty of room. Gently open it up and get my magnum. I was going to say magnum, but magnums, the SewTites do have a magnum. It's a really long, strong bar, and I use that on my long arm, so that's why I was getting a little confused. Magnums, SewTites. These are the Sew Lights. And it's ready to be stitched from here to here. I've stitched along this line, and now I'm going to do my next step, which is cut. There we go. Wasn't catching that lip there for a second. And now let's press. And look at that beautiful point we have right there. Kind of love that. All right, we are going back to our last line, which is between 3 and 4, and we are going to fold that back. Oops, got a little extra of our fabrics there. All right. This is a pretty big triangle. It's almost the entire piece of my paper here. So we're gonna fit that on here. Like this, and I can see my point has all this extra room, and the end of my outline is right here. So I know there's plenty of room on that side. I'm gonna get my SewTite. And stitching along that line where we had the fold from the right above that line to right below that line. And we're gonna get another really great point over here when we're done. Feel like I'm talking less and going faster as we've moved on. So if you have questions, drop me a line. You can drop a comment here. I have been checking. You can email me at lovinglylissa.com. Lovinglylissa.com is my website. lovinglylissa@gmail.com is my email. Email me a question if you have one. I'll do my best to answer. Hopefully these videos have been very helpful. This is my second to last one. Cassandra is next week, and the week after that is the final block. This has gone quickly when I look back. Ooh, look at how that fits right there. That's pretty. Let's give that an iron. A press, not an iron. Remember, pressing is different from ironing. This is press. This is ironing. And we just want to press. And that's the big difference when you are doing anything when it comes to quilting. You want to press. I like to push it open into a finger press so I have a really good, because sometimes if you don't, you get a little bit of a bubble where you're not against the threads, and I want to be up against the threads. That's why I press. Okay. Got this mishmash of pieces. So what we are going to do now is I'm going to trim on this outermost line to give us the corner of the block. So I line my ruler up on that outermost line. My 1/4 inch mark of the ruler should fall on that inside line. And no, I haven't changed my blades. I really should. I haven't been working on much else than this project. So I don't think of changing my blades until I am working on this. I don't know if you're getting my hair in there. I can't see from this far up. I kind of like this part because it really gives you that, you go from that little messy conglomeration of fabrics to a pieced looking block. And this last little bit right here. All right, let's flip that over. That looks great. We're going to make template B next, and then we'll put them together. Template B may look a little different. In the past, our section 1 has only had the one seam line between sections. This one will have 2, and it might look a little weird and a little crazy, but trust me, it's going to work just the way we've done all our other blocks. We're going to start by doing the seam between section 1 and section 2. So take your outer 1/4 ruler and fold back on that seam line. Take your section 1 fabric, place it on there so that you know you've got it totally covered. And there is a lot of extra room on these couple pieces if you've done the rough cutting. For section 2, my one line's going this way, my second line is coming back to this point. So let's take this fabric and I can see it's a little crooked there on the bottom. There we go. I'm covered on this side, I'm covered all along the bottom here, and I'm covered along this top outermost part. So section 2 will be covered by that fabric. I'll do a very gentle open. Now this is where I really like my SewTite to get it right in this spot, because this is where you're sewing. It's just a small seam right from that top point down to this top point. You might thought it was strange that the 2 fabric is over here when the template is over here. I know that throws a lot of people off. That's why I love this fold back method, to see where you should lay it out, because now when you fold the fabric back, when we press it, you'll see that it covers that side when you fold it back. And that's that little trick to the whole fold back and put on top of the fabric that I like to do. It took me a while to learn that one. Maybe you all knew it already. Could be. So let's fold all along the stitch line and cut our 1/4 inch. And now press. I did a little iron there, didn't I? It's pressed. All right, let's take a look at section 2 to 3. That is this line right here. And it's this fabric I'm going to be putting there. So time to fold. Lift this up. And here is section 3. And I can see there's plenty of fabric all the way around it. So open it back up. Put my SewTite in there. And I'm stitching from this point all along that line down to this point. Time to cut and then press. Let's fold it back. Line up that 1/4 inch. And press. Continuing to follow the numbers between 3 and 4, we have another small seam right here. We will fold back on that line. Grab my fabric piece. Again, these give you plenty of extra room. I'm just double checking. Yep. Let's see if I can go here. Yes. Slide your SewTite underneath it. And stitch straight down that line. Time to cut and press again. Piece 5 is this seam here. It's a little different because it doesn't go between 4 and 5. It goes between 1, 2, and a little tip of 3 and 4, and number 5. So, just like you do all the other blocks, we're going to fold it. Get my fabric to lay it under there. Plenty of fabric. Now you see, as a more experienced paper piecer, I would not have rough cut all my blocks in advance, and then I would use this for a smaller piece later on. A little bit of less waste, you know. But you get used to it and you start seeing those possibilities as you go, as you paper piece more and more. Oop, I think my SewTite is against the line. Let's move that back a little bit. There we go. Now we're stitching down this whole line. Let's flip this back. Put our add a 1/4 here. and trim the excess away. Open that up. And we've got quite the big piece there. Let's give it a press. Don't you love all those beautiful points? We're at that messy block stage, so let's get rid of the pressing mat. Flip this over and trim on the outermost line. Okay, now don't laugh. I can't see these little bitty lines unless I'm got my head under the camera because I'm looking down through the camera right now. So I'm going to turn the camera off to do that so you don't see the top of my head, and I will be back to show you both templates. Here is template B, flipped around, all trimmed and ready to go, and I'm going to bring back template A. We're going to stitch these together, and as we've done in the past, put those together like that. I do believe this point and this point need to meet up. So what I will be doing is lining those up and lining those up with my eyeballs, kind of. And now I take a pin and I put it right through that point where those lines meet up, and it will pop out right at that intersection as well. Keep my edges lined up. Make sure that pin is going straight up and down, and then pin on either side. Oops, that doesn't want to go through. There we go. If it makes you feel comfortable, do it again at this point. I kind of feel like that is already staying, but this end is getting a little floppy. So I'm gonna line these up. See, sometimes the fabric falls off the template a little bit, and what you wanna do is just bring it up there like that. So all the fabric and the paper are all lining up. And you can put a pin through that point to make sure they do. And honestly, my clip will hold that. I'm going to stitch all across this top line. Here's the big reveal. Let's see. Look at those points, look gorgeous. I will pull out just this side of the paper because I think you get a better press on your seams. As I've said in every other video, I do leave the rest of the paper in until the quilt goes together. And if you haven't watched the videos before, that reasoning is really because some of these fabrics might have the raw edges on the bias. And if that's the case, you know, bias edges like to move and breathe and stretch. If you want to take the paper all out, I suggest doing a stay stitch at 1/8 of an inch away from the raw edge, just to protect those bias edges, because you don't want a distorted block when you're going to finish this all up. That would not be pleasant at all. Okay. Push this down with my fingers, give a little finger press, and press with my iron. And this is 1/4 of block 7. You will make 4 more of these. And then you're going to go back to the pattern to see the layout and how to stitch them together. Remember, when you are pressing one to the other, you want the seams to go in opposite directions, and really what you can do is follow this one. Since this seam is pressed this way, you want the other seam to press this way, and you'll get a great spin on your seams. So go ahead. I know I usually do all 4, but I am running late. I couldn't really record it earlier because they're doing renovations in my house, and yesterday was tear up the floor day. So since I'm below that floor, it was not a good day to record. I am running out of time today, so I only have time to show you the one block, but putting these 4 blocks together is just like putting any 4 square together, and I know you guys can do that. I will see you in 2 weeks with the final block. I hope you're enjoying Quilt Concert 2023. I know Cassandra and I really are. And we will see you at our Zooms. If you're not on our Zooms, please come. We have been having special guest stars, and it's been so much fun. All right, I'll see you all, guys. I'll see you guys again really soon. Bye.